Hello, Ashley Mardell. This is my attempt to get to know you re well, as of now, most recent video on your One Take Ashley channel. Though, of course, that could change any time between this being filmed and uploading because my internet connection is shite. I love that word. Did I say that my name was Josh? Well, if I didn't, it is. I am a 20-year-old writer, and as you can probably guess from my accent, I am not from the USA. I am very, very, very British, and while I'm not quite sure that's a quantifiable thing, it's certainly the truth. I'm not overly proud of living in the UK, but I'm reasonably happy with it, especially seeing the state of American politics at the moment. That's quite frightening. I don't understand how Donald Trump is working. He seems to be pulling... Shush! A bit of a Boris Johnson, not you. Motorbikes on the road behind me. And if you don't get that reference, the Boris Johnson, it doesn't really work that well in American politics, although he is actually an American citizen as well as British. But he's a British politician, current mayor of London, bit of an arse. But people like him. And it's the same with Trump, unfortunately. It's very disappointing. I had such high hopes. I mean, I'd like to believe that we're moving towards a golden age of liberalism, but that's not happening because when people are scared, they turn to what they know. And what they know is very conservative, because as people get older, they automatically tend to get more conservative. It's a way of life. Fact of life, rather. Anyway, away from the politics discussion. I am a writer. I'm also a student of English literature and German, and a YouTuber as well. Pretty small. But I enjoy the discussions we have. There's so much fun on some of them. Not on all, because say when I make a video about feminism, it tends to be mostly anti-feminists and, the word I hate more than most, meninists who come and watch them. Some of them can be very good debating partners and improve the discussion, and others just shout the words gender traitor at you. Or would be shouting if it weren't all written down. It's not fun. But as for being a writer, I mostly write science fiction and fantasy, but I've recently branched out into non-fiction and poetry. Almost all of my books, well, works rather, have a queer slant because so do I. I mean, I'm not really giving away that many signs, I suppose. There is a fluffy purple dressing gown, but I could just be very cold, which I am, because I live in Wales. Cold is kind of what we do. I don't even have the nail polish on anymore, so there's no signs there either. But I write queer stuff. I've had some complaints actually in that my villain is queer and uses a lot of queer coding stereotypes. They are, well, you could call it gender fluid if there wasn't magic involved where they actually change their physical appearance to match it. But I don't see that in itself as necessarily being a bad thing, because when it comes to writing queer characters, you have to remember that queer people come in all shapes and sizes and colours and ideologies. Not every queer person is going to be nice. There are going to be some bad ones. And I do make sure to point out that these traits themselves are not villainous, because this villain is a god. Every single god is like that, and not all of them are bad. I mean, they're not always going to be great people. I have some very strong opinions on this. But I don't want to give off the impression that being gender fluid or gender queer or non-conforming is inherently evil, because that is something that has annoyed me for a very long time. I mean, I've only recently started showing any attempt at non-conformity. I mean, I suppose I don't conform to the traditional male gender roles anyway, because I'm as gay as the ace of spades. But in other ways, I mean, when you started cutting your hair and expressing in a more androgynous way anyway, although some might say it is travelling towards the more masculine side, I decided, you know what, if people who I admire can do this, why can't I do it for myself? Does that sound weird? I've never really just come up to someone, well, not coming up to you, and said that I admire them. I really should, because something like that can really brighten someone's day. I mean, I've told my friends, say I admire their drive or their creativity, and lots of people tell me when they meet me just, I love your brain. It's a very strange place in here. And I'm not just saying that because my channel's called the Madhouse. I don't say that to be mean to neuroatypical people either, because I'm one of them for one thing. And that's part of the reason I use the name, because I've been called crazy practically every day of my life. It's fun, really. Now, I'll make this brief because I need to upload, but I'm going to share something I reckon that you will enjoy because everyone else I've recommended it to has absolutely loved it. It's one of my favourite books in the entire world by my favourite author ever, who sadly passed away last year. It is Weird Sisters by Sir Terry Pratchett. You may have heard of the name, although perhaps not because he's not so big in the US. I'm not sure why. There were some issues with the publishers in the 1990s and they were not really resolved in enough time to become significantly widespread. But they really should be, because he's responsible for two of the best books of the 1990s, Small Gods and Good Omens. You might have heard of the later one. But this one, Weird Sisters, is, I suppose, you could just say a satire of Macbeth by Shakespeare. But it's so much more of that. It subverts fantasy tropes in many ways to make the witches the heroes, for one thing, and is incredibly feminist, I would say, because each of the three witches in this book are incredibly different. There is the hypersexual Nanny Ogg, there is the absolutely virginal Magrat, who is so very naive, and then there is Granny Weatherwax, who is possibly the strongest character in all fiction. She also happens to be my favourite female character ever. I mean, this is a woman who gets bitten by vampires and the vampires become like her, who threatens to break Death's arm if she loses a game with him. A woman who can stare at logs to make them burst into flames out of embarrassment, not having to use her magic to do so. A woman whose name in Dwarvish and the language of the trolls means she who must be avoided and go around the other side of the mountain. This is a woman of such incredible strength and stubbornness, who is angry and sometimes vindictive, but she uses that for good things. She shares her anger and rage with the world to help people. She's so selfish, but she uses that to make her entire country her own, not to literally take over, but to protect it from harm. Every single one of those people is hers in a way, so she must defend them to her dying breath. Her weaknesses become her strengths, and I love that. That's something that's very rarely done, and I think it might appeal to you. It's also absolutely hilarious. I hope I've not bored you. This is probably a weird one, and I know I'm a weird person. I get that all the time. I've taken to introducing myself as just, hello, I'm Josh, but if it's easier for you, you can just call me crazy, because you will do it at some point and it'll just save the time. So, anyway, that's it. It's been quite nice talking like this. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful and inspired day, Ashley, and good luck in finishing that book. I look forward to reading it when you're done. Tatty byes.